Hello, Oakcliff. Good morning, students. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, Andy Yeoman, Doraville City Council, District 1, who's going to talk to us about believing in yourself. This is a subject in which we should all can identify with, and having faith in our own capabilities. Our speaker has worked in information technology and operations for 19 years in varied capacities, including owning his own business. Since 2019, he has been a consultant working for some of the world's largest companies, helping them solve complex technology issues and projects. He was selected to represent Doraville City Council in 2019. Can we give Andy Yeoman a round of applause?
Good morning, Oakcliff. A little taller than this. After all that you've accomplished so much this year, I'm told that many of you have received awards and honors, and today reminds me of my 5th grade graduation a few years ago. And my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Bowman, who told me that I could do anything if I set my mind to it and acted right in class. I wasn't the best student back then. I certainly didn't graduate with any honors or awards. In fact, I was pretty honored just to graduate at that time. But she taught me a valuable lesson that's carried with me in my life and made me a better student that I want to tell you about today. I want to start by congratulating the extraordinary young scholars before me here at Oakcliff. And the last year and a half have been by no means easy. The pandemic has forced Oakcliff and its teachers to adopt an entirely new approach to learning. Yet despite that, despite all of the obstacles that you had, as your program calls, you persevered on the 2nd page. And despite that, and all the resistance that you faced, you moved forward. And regardless of the odds, you're all here today. Now, I don't have a lot of time that's been given to me, but I wanted to, the short time I do have with you today, I wanted to share with you a little story. It's a story about 5 years ago when I was visiting Hawaii. I met a young man who's 27 today, and his name is Doraville. Derek is a professional surfer. But there's something else that you should probably know about Derek. It makes him a pretty extraordinary person indeed. Before Derek was born, his father had a big dream for him to be the professional surfer. And his ideas and his dreams were crushed when Derek was born completely blind. As you can imagine, that's pretty crushing to want to be a surfer and be blind, right? But through his own perseverance and his own will and life, he did continue his dream to be a surfer. Now, Derek grew up listening to the sound of the waves outside of his window in Hawaii. And even though he couldn't see the waves, all he wanted to do was learn how to surf them. He found someone to teach him, and the following morning that they started. Now, most people learn to surf by watching. But Derek had to learn to surf differently. He had to feel the waves around him. He had to hear the waves and the sounds of the oceans as he learned how to surf. And having never seen a wave or seen the ocean in person, he continued to learn and learned how to surf very well. One day he decided that he wanted to surf the wave called the pipeline. Now, the pipeline is a much bigger wave than any other waves, and statistically speaking, it's one of the most dangerous waves in the world. And it's really a lifetime goal of any surfer to do it just one time. Now, when Derek decided that he wanted to surf this wave, everyone said, "Derek, you're crazy. You're blind. You can't surf the pipeline." But he told them that there was a way that he could do it. And even though they told him that Derek, you could possibly die by surfing the pipeline, he continued. And he did something that I want you to hear today. He ignored it. A man blind from birth not only learned how to surf, but went on to become a professional surfer and surfed the most dangerous wave in the world. And when the world said to him that you can't do it, he stood up, put his chest out, he gazed forward and said, yes, I can. Now, look, don't get me in trouble now. When your parents tell you to do something, this doesn't mean that you get to ignore them. Don't get me in trouble. But what it does tell you, and the principle here, is that whatever troubles life faces you, I want you to dream big, no matter what, and never give up. Now that's a pretty good story, but it doesn't actually end there. You see, surfing wasn't enough for Derek. What I'm about to tell you next will probably shock you. After achieving the surfing, he went on to learn another sport. And he decided that he wanted to learn how to downhill speed race. Now those of you that aren't familiar with downhill speed racing, what that means is you go to the top of the hill, and you go down the hill at about 60 miles an hour on a skateboard. And even though people told him that there's no way that you can do it, there's no way that a blind person can go down the hill at 60 miles an hour on a skateboard, he continued to learn, and he ignored them. For those of you that are unfamiliar, as I mentioned, you go down 60 miles an hour, and the world record is 90 miles an hour on the skateboard. Sometimes it doesn't matter how good you get, how much you achieve, how successful you are in school, how successful you are in life, how many times you've proved them wrong before. People will still tell you that you can't do something. And when that happens, I want you to remember your time here at Oakcliff. And I want you to remember Derek. I want you to dream big. And when someone tells you it's not possible, stand up, put your chest out, look forward, and say, yes, I can. Now, imagine this. They're at the top of a gigantic hill. He's ready to go down the hill. The crowd has assembled below the hill, talking amongst themselves about how he's probably not going to be successful. And he does. He goes down the hill. So far, so good. He makes the first turn. He's chugging along. Everything is good. The skateboard shudders. He falls, tumbles into the side of the road. The crowd groans. The crowd starts talking about, see, I told you it wasn't possible for a blind man to do it. What do you think Derek did? He got up, stood up, put his chest out, gazed forward, and said, yes, I can, I'll try again. And he did it. A man, blind from birth. He learned how to surf. He surfed the most dangerous wave in the world. He went on to learn downhill speed skating. He did it twice after he failed the first time. Going down a hill 60 miles an hour on a skateboard. Derek's a man who dreamed big and never gave up. So what can you learn from this story? I said it twice now, and I'll say it again. Dream big, never give up. If you truly desire and believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that you can achieve it, you will be successful. It doesn't matter what gender you are, what ethnicity you are, what country your parents or your family may come from, what circumstances in life that you have that brought you to this day. I think you can surf the biggest wave that comes at you. And you can achieve anything if you dream big. You know it's possible. You know that you have to want it and believe it and achieve it. And the next thing I want all of you to do, that should start in this room today, is you should decide what you want in life. What you want to accomplish in middle school. What you want your big dream to be. And I want you to start planning for it over this summer. Setting goals. And setting goals for the present that will lead you into your goals for the future. And make sure that every day you get just a little bit closer to your dream. And whatever you do, Oakcliff, please never let anyone tell you that you can't achieve something that you want to. Because you have to believe in yourself. Well, why should anyone else? Oakcliff, it's time to stand up. Put your chest out. Look forward and say, yes, I can. I wish all of you the best success in your years to come, and thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. I can't wait to follow your success, and I'm rooting for each and every one of you. Thank you.
That was amazing, Andy. Truly amazing. So thank you. We do have a token of appreciation. A shirt, because now you're an Oakcliff Eagle. Yeah. And then they made you a tumbler with your name on it. So thank you, Andy.